One of the available tools in Autoplay Menu Designer is variables. Variables are named containers for values that can change or can be changed. Many tasks can't be done without variables. Variables let you control the flow of execution of your application, provide different reactions of the application to users' actions, check if given conditions are met, and many more. Let's take a look at the basic principles of working with variables. First of all, we need to enable the Runtime Debugger to see values of variables. Select Menu, Tools, Options. Debugging. Enable the Show Debug window for the Preview Mode checkbox, and restart the program. Now we can preview the app with the debugger. So, the first thing to know, each project object has internal variables. With their help, we can get the state of the object or change it. Let's add the Simple Text object and start debugging. As you can see, the debugger window has opened along with the main window. Open the Variables tab and click the Add Variable button. Here we can add any variable from the project for viewing. Let's select the internal variable text of the Simple Text object. As you can see, the variable contains the value of the text of our object. If we change the text, the value of the variable will be changed also. Moreover, if we add the Edit Box object, add its text variable to the debugger, we can see how the value changes in real time. The text variable is of string type, i.e., stores a text value. There are also variables of a numeric type, which store a numeric value, and variables of a Boolean type, which can have only two states, false or true, or otherwise 0 or 1. For example, the checkbox object has a Boolean variable checkState. Which contains the current state of the checkbox on or off, i.e., 1 or 0. Note what the full variable name looks like. It consists of parent objects in the project tree, separated by a dot. Thus, you can always uniquely identify a variable name. It's important to understand that if you change the value of an internal variable, then the state of the object will also change. There are several ways to change the value of a variable. The first way is using the Change Variable action. Let's add a button. And add the Change Variable action for it. In the Variable Name field, we need to select the variable. Select the text variable for the Simple Text object. In the New Value or Expression field, specify the new value. Note that the text variable must contain a text value, so we set the value in quotes. Let's see how it works. Click the button. The value of the variable has changed. and at the same time, the text of the object has changed. Let's return to the Change Variable Action dialog and look at the New Value or Expression field. We have assigned a specific value, but you can assign new values to a variable as an expression. An expression is a combination of constant values, variables, and operations on them. It is very similar to a formula in a math class at school. If we want to concatenate two strings, we just put a plus between them. The expression is evaluated and the result is stored in a variable. For example, let's type hello. Add the value of the text variable from the edit text object to it. And add an exclamation mark at the end. As a result, if we change the text in the Edit Box object, then click on the button, we will get a different text in the Simple Text object. Note that in the expression, the name of an existing variable is highlighted in blue and is replaced by the value of this variable at the time of calculation. In case where the variable does not exist, it will be highlighted in red. In this case, evaluation of the expression will result in an error, and nothing will happen. In the previous example, to change the state of the Simple Text object, we need to click a button. Let's study another way to influence object variables. Select the Simple Text object. Open the Variable section in the Properties panel. Click the Select Variables button. Here we can see a list of available variables for the active object which can be assigned to a value. Select the text variable. Now we can assign a new value. Let's use the expression from the previous example as the value. As a result, now any change in the Edit Box object causes a change in the Simple Text object. The same way, you can manage the state of controls. Let's select the CheckState variable from the checkbox and specify the value as following expression. The text in the edit box is equal Joe. Now, when we type the name Joe, the checkbox will be selected. Next, let's look at a few examples where we will use variables and expressions. Let's create a page where the user must type the correct password and check on the I agree checkbox to go to the next page. I want to show the next button only if the correct password is entered and the checkbox is pressed. To do this, select the button, open the Variables section, and select the Visible Variable. This is a Boolean variable, which means that the calculated value will be either 0 or 1. If the value is 1, the object will be visible, otherwise it will be hidden. Now let's assign the following expression. The variable text of the Edit Box object is equal to test, where test is our password. This expression will be equal to 1 when we enter the word test in the Edit Box object. Start the test. How we can see, the password works, but the state of the checkbox is ignored. We need to add one more condition to the previous expression using the Boolean AND. And the checkState variable of the checkbox object is equal to 1. Now the next button is visible when the correct password is entered and the checkbox is on. For the experiment, let's change the logical AND to logical OR. Now our button is visible when any of the conditions is triggered, password or checkbox. Let's undo the last change and move on. Similarly, you can change not only the visibility of objects, but also their appearance. For this, there are several predefined states of objects that can be controlled through internal variables. Let's select the next button. Add the disabled state to it, and customize the appearance for this state. Then in the Variables section, delete the visible variable and add the disabled variable. The button goes to disabled state when this variable is 1. We will modify expression from the previous example to keep the behavior. The button should be inactive when the edit box value is not equal to test, or the checkbox is off. Let's see how it works. Let's study another use case for variables. You can use the value of a variable in text fields by specifying the variable name surrounded by % symbols. You can often see similar expressions in the file name field for the texture image property. The resources variable is replaced by the path to the resource folder. Consider the following example. Let's create a form to send an email where the user enters his name and a message text. It's important to set unique names for the edit box, since we will use the variables of these objects. To send email, use the Send Email action. To insert the entered values into the text of the email, we use the name of the variable surrounded by %. The variable name is looklike, the edit box name, dot, the internal variable name. It's not required to specify the name of the page or other parents of the object, since all objects are on one page. Since there is no variable selection dialog in the text fields, it is very easy to make a mistake when composing the variable name. But there is one trick. You can temporarily add the change variable action. Select the variable and then copy its correct name. Then just paste the variable name into the text field and surround it with percent symbols. As a result, we receive a generated email with the data which the user entered on the form. Now let's talk about conditions. Suppose we need to do some action only under a given condition. For example, let's show a warning message if the user forgot to type his name in the email submission form. Add the Show Message Box action. And open the Events tab. Here, we can assign the condition in the form of an expression. When an event is triggered, the logical value of the specified expression will be calculated, and if the result is true, then the action will be taken. And here we need variables again. For our task, assign the following expression. The text variable of the name edit box is equal to an empty string. Thus, if the user has not entered a name, we will show a warning message. However important, in this case, we don't need to do the send email action. To make this, we can assign an alternative condition for the send email action. Let's see how it works. But you can make it easier. Move the action Show Message to the top to execute it first. And turn on this checkbox. This will abort other actions associated with the on-mouse click event if the specified condition is true. Let's see how it works. It's worth noting in the debugger, we can see what is happening. Let's talk about users' variables. It's important to know that in addition to internal variables, you can add your own variables. Let's move on to the next example. Add the question, add several answers, and add 2 text objects to show a count of errors. Our task is to count the number of incorrect answers and show the result. Let's add an own variable. With the numeric type, and call it errors. Note that variables can be added to the page, window, or project level as you see fit. To show the current number of errors, we will use the text object and its internal text variable. As we did earlier, Just add our variable to the expression field. Let's see how it works. As you can see, the default value of the variable is displayed. Now, for first incorrect answer, add the change variable action. And increase the value of the errors variable by 1. Use the copy actions function to add actions for other incorrect answers quickly. If the answer is correct, we will display a message box with the number of errors using the errors variable. We again use the variable name with the percent symbols to insert the variable's value into the text field. Let's see how it works. Note that if we set the Stored checkbox for the errors variable, then the value between starts will be saved. In this tutorial, I've shown basic cases of how you can use variables. By combining these methods, you can get additional features for your own application.